Welcome into the newest episode of Side Mission. Like always, I'm your host, Rusty Ellis, joined by all three of the boys today. Kyle, Matt, Thacker. I can say Thacker's name because he's here, unlike the Plague Tale episode when I almost said his name. So, today, we're talking about another Nintendo release. That means Matt's going to carry the fuck out of this episode. I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. Let's go. We are talking... Matt's like, I'm not ready for that. No, we are talking about Mario and... how the fuck... Is it Mario plus Rabbids? Mario and Rabbids? How the fuck...
Mario plus Rabbids.
Mario plus Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, whatever... Sparks of Fuck, Sparks of whoever. I don't know.
I just thought it was Mario Rabbids. No flush or anything. I thought it was just Mario Rabbids.
Honestly, that's all I've been calling it, and that's all I've heard Kyle call it. So you know what? Because Kyle said it, he's right, because he's right at everything. So, in all seriousness, we're talking about Mario and Rabbids, Sparks of Hope, a game that follows up a game that I feel like has a mixed or had a mixed reception on the Switch in. The first game. Kyle, I know you really loved it. Matt, I think I remember you really enjoyed it. I've watched you play it a couple times. But one thing that we can talk and we can start with this game that I think this game is a great example of is how a sequel can improve in every way on the original. The original game is really good. And Kyle, again, I know you really liked it. But I feel like this game really improves a lot on the combat system, the exploration, and I think overall, just the ease of access, especially for newcomers into the series, I feel like this game does a lot of good things to improve the series.
Yeah, the first game, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a different take on the Mario series, with it being a more strategy-type game, and, all the combat is turn-based. It normally would not have interested me.
Yeah.
I'm not that much into these kinds of games. However, I, was like, okay, it's Mario, Rabbids, kind of goofy, kind of weird. I gotta check this out. And I'm really glad that I did, because I ended up loving the first one, despite the difficulty spike midway through the game.
I heard it was hard. Was the difficulty spike actually that great? Because I've heard Matt talk a lot about how difficult that game does get.
Yeah, the game was, for about the first half, a pretty easy coast. There were some challenges here and there, but for the most part, I never really died. And then, maybe it's towards the end. You just start encountering so many enemies within these battles, and you end up getting really overwhelmed with, I guess they kind of expect you to be a little bit more OP than you actually were when you got there. Because I found myself dying a lot, actually, and I was constantly having to redo battles because I felt that they had to be almost picture perfect.
Yeah.
And in this game, I feel that there's so much more room for experimentation, and it doesn't need to be nearly as tight. The combat definitely has been fine-tuned, except for the animations. I think the animations for the special moves are cool, but I don't really enjoy seeing them every single time. Luckily, they did introduce a feature that allows you to turn those off.
Turned that feature on pretty quickly.
Yeah, I really enjoy another feature that they introduced with this, and that's the difficulty settings. In the last game, it was kind of more based on area. And here you have an actual difficulty settings with levels, and you can even turn on an invincibility mode if you're just looking to experience the story. So it's really cool to see them kind of expanding on the accessibility for their audience.
Yeah, I got two things that I actually want to talk about compared to the original game. So the two big game changers for this game is heavily on the fact that you are no longer set on a grid.
Yes.
So whereas in the first Mario Rabbids, you were, you could only move left, right, diagonal based off of a grid. If you've ever played this other series.
XCOM, yeah.
XCOM, thank you. Yes. So that gives you a lot more freedom in choosing where you move off to. Another thing that I love that they introduced is the jumping feature. So where you can basically you're not limited so much as to where you can move. You can use one of your allies to get a boost, and then that can all project you over other obstacles, get you closer over to enemies, or get you into a better positioning for when it's the enemy's turn. And the other thing that I think that this game did, and this also lies in the name of the game, are the sparks themselves. This gives the players and your allies these elemental abilities, and as you're progressing through the game, you'll find new enemies who also have these elemental attacks. So, for example, there is this type of shy guy, rabbit-looking guy, who is fire elemental. So, when you unlock a spark that gives you a water elemental, you do double damage. On top of that, if you have one of the sparks that has like fire elemental, when you cast it on an enemy, not only does it just do double the damage, but it scatters them. And it just adds a whole new layer of strategy into how you're going to approach the game. And there's quite a few sparks. I'm around the third world right now, and I've roughly got almost 15, 16 sparks. And they're all different elementals, from poison, ice, water, fire, and even spirit. So they did a fantastic job on adding this new layer, this like new way to strategize how you're going to approach each zone.
Yeah, honestly, so I'm the noob to Mario Rabbids. I have to say I thoroughly have enjoyed this. I like how the sparks are easy to maintain or easy to gather just by completing simple things. I think I finished the first world with 12 sparks in total.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And it's incredible. There are now abilities that I never even thought about outside of the normal elementals. We even have support sparks where we can actually, instead of just doing damage, we're also protecting ourselves or protecting allies.
Yes.
It's something that's absolutely incredible to me. I think the current team that I ran throughout the entirety of it was Rabid Peach, Rabid Luigi, and Mario. And just seeing these characters and seeing the Rabbids' take on this game was something absolutely incredible, especially with the whole Rabid Rampage game forever ago on the PS2 days?
Something like that.
Anyone wants that cursed memory unlocked, there you go.
You're talking about Rayman Raving Rabbids on the Wii?
I thought there was one before that, though.
No, their introduction to the Rabbids was Rayman Raving Rabbids.
Yeah, hey, don't hate on that game. That game was awesome.
Yeah, so
it's still a cursed memory.
I played the shit out of that game when I was a kid.
I'm thinking of Whiplash.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, I don't hate the idea of them bringing in Rabbids for Mario, because Rayman, I thought it was it was kind of weird, But Mario, he's had collabs with Rabbids, wasn't really, I think too out of the box for them. And honestly, I think it's really worked with this. When I played the first game, I didn't actually expect them to make a sequel. And now, I mean, if they want to keep making these, I think that they have improved enough upon the first one to, show us that, hey, if they want to make a third game, here's why we should support it. Here's why we should buy it. This game, like you said, Rusty, I think really does improve upon the first game's mechanics, especially with the movement. I liked the first one. The grid-based system, I think, was cool, but having a set area where you can kind of freely move around instead of just, within the grid, it feels a lot more real-time combat.
No, I agree.
I gotta say, that's probably my favorite mechanic that they improved on.
I think that someone put it best when they said that there's probably a grid in the coding of the game somewhere underneath all of it, but obviously we don't see it. I think that making this change to giving you this kind of, it is a relatively limited area per character. Obviously, it's different from character to character. Giving you kind of this normal space that you have every turn, that this is how far you can go in any direction, I think that works a lot better than it just being locked in on a grid, because it just feels like it flows a little bit better. And that's in turn-based combat, that's kind of always my worry outside of Pokemon games, because Pokemon is probably the only turn-based game I genuinely love. I just sometimes think that the flow of combat in turn-based strategy games can be a little bumpy. It's not always very smooth, and I don't know. I think that this game improves a lot on that with the freeform movement. I like the specials, and I like the sparks as well. I can't say anything that y'all haven't already said. I think that there is a good variety in the sparks. There's sparks that do damage. Like one that I've used a lot of has been Toxic Wake. Just because, one, the name is fucking badass. The name is awesome. And I love the attack. I love that it attacks 3 times. It's great. But I've also used the one that... I've also used both of the ones that one gives you... I think it makes all allies within the vicinity around you, makes them all take, I think, 35% less damage at level 2 before you upgrade it. I like that you can upgrade them as well. And then the other one that I've used that's more defensive is the one where when a character gets attacked, you can reflect 15% of the total damage that you took back to the enemy that dealt the damage in the first place. So kind of gives you a little bit of variety. You can pick 3 offensive sparks if you would like for any given level, and that could probably work if you play it right. But I think it does add a little bit to the strategy, and that is improved upon with the movement. You combine all that together, and I just feel like it really works.
No, most definitely. There's one spark that I keep using that I keep flipping it between different characters. It's the ethereal spark.
I don't think I have that one yet.
It allows your character to pretty much go invisible. So if you can't get behind a barrier, you don't have to worry about it because you're invisible. You don't have to worry about taking damage. So I keep flipping it between different characters that I like using. Mainly it's on Peach Rabbid and Luigi Rabbid, just because of the simple fact of those two, I enjoy them a lot, but I feel like those are probably my 2 heavy hitters. Other than that, I'm using a lot of the elemental ones. I think the only defensive spark that I'm really using is the reflector that you get beginning of the game.
I think that one's very useful. I think that's one of the most useful one in the game. And I think that when I look at my team, I think this is a good spot to transition to the characters that you can play as, because I think there is a good variety in here. There's characters that can deal damage at close range. There's characters that are more useful at long range. And I think that the cool thing is you can be successful playing just about any way, and a lot of it is that strategy element of if you know you're going up against a bunch of ranged enemies. In the second world specifically, the lone wolf snipers are fucking toxic. I cannot stand them. When they do that howling move where they set that kind of AoE up, and if you walk into it, they get to shoot you. I hate that shit so much, and it's so frustrating when there's like 5 of them and they all do it at once. You literally can't move. But I think that my team, for the most part, has been Rabid Peach, and Rabid Peach is the star of this game, in my opinion, as much as I've played so far. Rabid Peach is absolutely the star of the game.
She is.
I've used Rabid Peach, Luigi, and I think I've swapped back and forth between Peach and Mario. And I've used Edge, because obviously you meet him relatively early in the game. Edge is really cool. That's probably Matt's favorite character because he can probably cosplay as him.
Taking my early game joke.
Yep, I saw the opportunity and I capitalized. Damn it!
That's fine. You can have it.
But I think that I like the variety, and Matt, in a game like this, I feel like that variety. It would be so easy for this game to get stale hours in. I feel like it'd be very easy for that to happen. But I feel like having that variety of characters really, and the variety of sparks as well, I feel like that really helps to prevent that.
Yes, it does. Especially because in the original game, I don't know if you guys remember this, but you couldn't switch Mario out. Mario had to stay in the party, and now we have the freedom to switch out Mario and add other characters and give some variety because each character has their own special ability. such as Mario, he has the ability to kind of like the lone wolf snipers, where he sets up that radius where an enemy is detected with it. Instantly, you get to attack. Rabbid Peach is one of my favorites. So just all the characters in this game have just like their own personality, their own charm. Rabbid Peach is kind of like that social media influencer, always out taking pictures, and she's just really sassy. And then I have actually come across Rabbid Rosalina, and she has just like this kind of emo kind of thing going on. She's just like acting like she doesn't care about what's going on. She's just going along for the ride. Like she just looks so bored and over it. And with I believe that another character that I have yet to come across, but I know he was added, is Bowser. So I'm very curious to see him.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Okay.
This game. Yeah, Bowser's finally going to get to be a playable character. And I love just the combination with the sparks. Like I kind of set my sparks up with like the personalities, if that makes any sense. Like for example, I gave that spark that makes you invisible to Luigi because it's like a ghost, and I think Luigi's Mansion.
That also works with his playstyle too. Now that I think about it, actually really works.
It does with Luigi being a sniper. Yeah, it works really well with it. Give Mario kind of the fire and electricity elements. So there's just so much to play around with in this game, and I don't feel like at any point it gets boring. Plus, there's so many different side missions. I can't believe I didn't want to say it.
Damn, roll credits.
There's so many different side quests littered throughout each world. And like each world has its own Warren, and they themselves have their own personalities, and everything is just it is so charming. And it amazes me, like, this is a Ubisoft game. Like, first and foremost, like, it's developed by Ubisoft, published by them. But it's just, Nintendo, they're using Nintendo's characters here. But
and their console.
And their console as well.
Matt's gonna take this game out on a date. He called it charming. I heard that. I heard that. You ain't getting away with that one. I heard that.
Side mission, canon, sure.
Hey, don't tell Pac-Man.
Oh God! But yeah, I don't foresee this game getting boring. Like before you beat it, I want to go to the end here. I want to see, like, especially the introduction of the Spark Hunters, because they've introduced some of those. So I've only encountered technically two, because Edge is one, but he's also a turncoat. He's not working with them. In the second world, you do run into one who is called Midnight, and she is this kind of ghost, like Rabbid. I mean, they're all Rabbids in this world. And what I liked about the boss fights is it's still the same grid, or not grid based, but it's still like the same zone type of things. But like the bosses have like their own specials. And I've only encountered one so far, but it kept it so much fun because it was like 3 phases. But it didn't feel stale. It didn't feel like it was just repeating itself. So I don't foresee like this game getting boring at any point.
Yeah, another thing I really liked that they changed with this game from the last game is in the last game you could equip certain weapons that had a chance to do elemental damage. And in this game, you get the sparks, which pretty much, allow you to do the elemental damage almost every single time, and it's not just chanced based off of your your gear, because it felt way too like RNG for me to try and tactfully plan out my moves when I'm not sure if this is going to do elemental damage, if this is going to do more damage or less damage, or cause them to be stuck there or move around if they caught on fire. Like, it made it kind of chaotic. And in this game, knowing what elemental damage you're going to be doing, and if it's going to be doing elemental damage, is a big plus.
The next thing I kind of want to bring up, and I feel like this is an interesting topic every time a Nintendo game comes out, because when you look at Nintendo's releases this year, they've been all over the spectrum when it comes to is it worth what is being asked? And, is it worth $60? And I think that this one falls more closely in line with Splatoon 3, with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and with, Kirby and Pokemon Legends, that I think that Nintendo did a good job of giving us a lot of content in this game, because this is about you focus on story stuff, it's still about a 30-hour game. It's about a 30-hour main story, and then it can take you even longer based on side stuff. So I think that Nintendo did a really, really good job of kind of giving us, giving us a good amount of content day one, and not using that atypical drip feeding method that has happened in other releases. So I do think we need to give Nintendo a little bit of credit, and I've said it all year. I think Nintendo's put a lot of games out this year, and I think that their good games have been really, really good, and I think that their games that are rough have been pretty damn rough. And we all know what games we're talking about. So Thacker, I know you had something on the price tag. What were kind of your thoughts? You think this game is worth $60?
Base game worth $60. Yes, I will agree with that. Me being, thanks to Rusty, of course.
Don't blame me for this shit.
Oh, no, I'm blaming you because you're going to understand here in a second.
If it's about the fucking steelbooks.
It is the steelbooks.
Oh, my God.
Me being the big steelbook guy that I am, thanks to this lovely motherfucker here, I do not think this game was worth $90 for the steelbook edition.
I feel that.
Especially because it only came with the pre-order bonus of cosmetics, and it also came with a different set of cosmetics. That was all it came with.
Well, it did come with the season pass. I mean, it does, to be fair, it does come with the season. That's a very Ubisoft. I think that's the key. How this game was made by Ubisoft is that there was a season pass included in the pre-order. I guess speaking of that, what are we expecting to see in the season pass? What do we think we will see? Rayman obviously is the big rumor. Yeah, that's Rayman is the big. That's the big rumor right now that's going to be a part of it. And so, what else do we think we'll see? Well, actually, I want to ask first, why Rayman? Because I guess that was, I don't want to say before my time, because I definitely gamed when Rayman was out, but I guess I wasn't big into that series. Why Rayman?
Kyle, you want to go first? You want me to?
Dude, Rayman is honestly such a throwback for me. I played the shit out of Rayman growing up, and unfortunately, they seem to have just kind of forgot about him. And I would love to see him come as DLC in this game, because I believe that getting enough hype up around the character could possibly get him another game, or a remaster or a remake of the older games. But you got to get that name out there. Everybody, probably knows the name Rayman, but they haven't ever, played any games with him in it. So this is where you should introduce him, especially since it fits with all the crazy wackiness of, what's going on with the, the Rabbids and, how it all started with Rayman. I think it would be really cool to have him come in as DLC, and if they don't, then that's a big miss.
So I'll add this right quick. There is a stigma of type sorts to the Rabbids. It's you gotta love them, you gotta hate them. A lot of people justify their dislike of them because they feel like that the popularity is what phased Rayman out. Because after Rayman Raving Rabbids, they did a sequel, and then after that, it was just the Rabbids. And we haven't had a proper Rayman game since what was that game that came out on the Wii U a few years ago?
I didn't know Wii U, so I have no idea.
I think it was called Rayman Legends, and it was a side scroller akin to the OG Rayman games before it kind of delved into the 3D aspect. So
3D ones were the best. Fuck the 2D ones. I'm sorry.
I love them all. Rayman is a fantastic character. He was actually one of the most requested fighters for Smash Brothers. I was very surprised they did not put him in there, but they put him in as a spirit.
No, you're not. You rather have Sora than Rayman.
Well, I'm glad they got Sora, but no, I wanted Rayman.
Don't get me started on Sora. This is going to be a very violent podcast if we do.
I was very excited when apparently somebody had did a fake leak of Rayman having a portrait in the game, and then it turned out to be fake. But the season pass is adding Rayman on the cover art. You can actually see the top of Rayman's head, and they did talk about that. So I'm kind of hoping that with the popularity that this game is seeing right now, and that maybe we can see Rayman get a game in the future, but that's something completely different. So I'm gonna move forward now.
Honestly, like outside of like, of course, getting Rayman in this game, I would love to see some DLC for the season's pass to maybe add some more Mario characters as well. Like I get it. There's not a huge lineup of Mario characters, but think about it. You could still add Donkey Kong. You could still add Yoshi, Toad, Matt.
Just say Waluigi. Just say
This
it.
is probably what the boardroom sounded like when they were like, "All right, what characters should we have?" Well, we got Mario.
Look, hear me
Luigi.
out.
The green guy.
Luigi. At the same time, the man is not that popular, and I will admit
who's
that.
Seth Rogen playing in the new movie? Oh, Donkey Kong. Yeah, put that guy in there.
Look, and Matt, I understand. Yes, you and Rusty can call me out on this all day. I am a Waluigi guy.
Damn right I will.
The man is not that popular. I don't want to see him in this one. I don't know how he would. Kyle, you and I are hopeless on that one. I will even say that that man can stay the fuck out of this game. I would like to stop it. I would like to see other characters added in for future DLC. Maybe even some extra missions, or maybe even an extra world.
Do we all at least agree that, like, I think that this is Ubisoft's handprint on the game? I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. I don't think season passes are inherently a bad thing. Do we think that's more of an Ubisoft thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all agree on that then. Okay, good. I mean, again, I don't inherently think it's a bad thing. I think if you provide a lot of content and you make it worth it, then it's fine. I think it's hard to judge the value of a season pass before any content's dropped, and I think we can all agree on that. I mean, the problem is we don't really know what's coming. It's kind of like what happened with, this is about to make some people in this party really mad, but
Oh, no.
this is kind of like what happened when EA brought back Battlefront, and the season pass was like $50, was almost another game, the price of another game, and the problem was there was no explanation of what was in it. So I hate that I'm comparing it to that, because I like this game a whole lot more than Battlefront. I think this game is great. Probably the most solid 8 to 9 out of 10 that I could give a game right now, considering the other games that we've played. Looking at you, Gotham Shites. But I think that obviously we all really enjoy this game, and I think that Nintendo and Ubisoft did a really, really good job with this one. They made a better sequel than the first game, and the first game was good. This one had quite a bit to live up to, and not only lived up to it, it surpassed it in all of our opinions. I think that's pretty fair to say. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Side Mission. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Side Mission Pod. We're just Side Mission Podcast on Facebook and TikTok. Dacker posts a lot of funny shit on there, and I'm sure that there's going to be some funny Gotham Knights clips that may or may not see the light of day. I don't know. Maybe depends on how much we want to get canceled. Apparently,
Don't give away my secrets.
But that's going to wrap up this episode. For the boys, for Matt, for Kyle, for Thacker, I'm Rusty. Thank you for listening.